Hello, YouTube. Welcome back to Pure on a Plane with me, Pretty. Thank you for joining my channel. If you like content on travel, if you enjoy this video, share with your friends and family, subscribe. And yeah, thank you for joining. So today I'm speaking about something, it's a bit on the controversial side. I'm speaking about my time in China. So I'm gonna share my experience of being a black girl in China. So let's get right into it. Right. I want to speak about what China was like for me. Was it different to other Asian countries? So when I went to China, this was pre-pandemic, and I guess I was very fortunate because I went a couple of months before the entire COVID disaster started in China. So yeah, I guess I was very fortunate because I think right now there's a lot of stigma attached to going to China. Let me know in the comment if there is, you think you would go to China after a pandemic at this point. I know the Asian community, particularly in America, got a lot of hate, a lot of backlash after the whole pandemic. I think a lot of Asian businesses also struggled in America, which really sucks because you can't attribute the disaster that hit the world to one culture, so to speak, or people of one descent. Because even people who were not of Chinese origin, but like Asian people in America, had it rough because of this. So bear in mind that what I'm sharing in this video is not trying to, paint a certain group or a certain country bad. It's just my personal experience of being there and what I felt like being there as a black girl. So this doesn't speak for every black person in China who either is a tourist there or who lives there. So this just speaks to my experience there, right? And and also bear in mind that wasn't a culture shock due to lack of traveling. By the time I went to China, I'd already been to over 20 countries, right? So I can't say it's culture shock by being outside of my own country. Anyway, with that disclaimer, let me share my experience in China. So the first point is hardly anybody speaks English. So having been traveled to a few countries before China, I mean, I've been to countries where, people speak English here and there, they speak broken English. They can sort of figure out what you're trying to say. But sis, when I say nobody speaks English, I mean nobody speaks English. Like, they can't understand you. So obviously I don't speak Mandarin, Cantonese, Fujian, or any of the Chinese languages. I'd love to learn Mandarin one day, though I've heard it's one of the most difficult languages to learn. I've never tried, but I'd love to learn Mandarin one day. But I don't speak it at the moment. I don't speak Mandarin, no Cantonese, no Fujianese, nothing, right? They don't understand English. It was a very limited number of people who spoke English, and that makes just the whole traveling situation awkward. And the thing is, I didn't go to a remote village in China. So if I went to a remote village, okay, maybe let me backtrack. When I went to China, I went to Chengdu, which is in the Sichuan district. It's towards the center of China. Chengdu is a big city. Chengdu is a very big city. It's the home of the panda, which is really cute. That's one thing I really liked about Chengdu, because they literally had pandas everywhere. There's this really cool panda that's climbing up the mall. So the district mall, you can see the panda that's coming up, and when you go to the roof, you can actually see that panda from the top. So that's really cool. But yeah, I went to Chengdu, big city. I didn't go to remote China because I knew that there was no way I could survive remote China unless I have a translator with me. Understandable. In most countries, if you go to remote areas, like rural areas, you are bound to not find people who speak English. But in the city, in a big city like Chengdu, I honestly expected a whole lot more of English speaking. But yeah, that wasn't the case, and I feel like that really made my China journey so difficult because Lord, I literally had to resort to pointing, writing little, drawing little direction sketches. And this is even, I remember when I was trying to get to the mall from where I was staying, I was trying to catch the train so I can ask which exit to take when I get to the mall. And whoa, before I even get to the signs are not in English. See, in a lot of the world, in most parts of the world, if they don't speak English in that country, they'll have, you know, whatever language they use. Like, for instance, in Qatar, if you're at Hamad International, the top part will be written in Arabic, and then the bottom bit will be written in English. Might be smaller, you might need to get closer for you to see it, but there'll be a sign that is in English. In China, nothing is in English. There's no translation of nothing. And mind you, they don't even use, like, for lack of a better word, normal alphabet. You know, I'm calling it normal because, you know, it's not Sanskrit, it's not Cyrillic that we use, but like the normal alphabet. They don't use that, right? So it's not like you can sort of piece together what the sign is saying. Zero English, zilch, zero. So here's me trying to get to the mall. I get into the underground subway. I see somebody who works at the train, and I'm like, oh, let me go ask them. I try to ask them direction, and it was just like, poor girl tried. She really tried. We did the whole, you know, communication, point, and eventually she was able to give me direction. But the gist of it is that she really couldn't direct me because we couldn't understand each other. So yeah, that was a big culture shock for me. Hardly anyone speaks English, and that's something I've never experienced in my years of traveling anywhere else. So on the plus side, right? On the plus side, China is really cheap. Even coming in with the rand, doing things in China is really cheap. Doing excursions in China was really cheap. Transport is cheap. Accommodation was cheap. So yeah, China is actually, you know, it's a very affordable holiday, and that was nice because then the food is really affordable. It's delicious. Oh my gosh, if you think you've had Chinese food, if you like Asian type of food and you like Chinese food, trust me, Chinese food that you think you've had is not Chinese food until you go to China and have like authentic Chinese food. Oh my gosh, especially Sichuanese food. Check out my video on food in the world. But yeah, Sichuanese food was like, oh, like, oh my gosh, the flavor is insane. There's just an authenticity about it, and it's like your mom and pop shop right at the corner where they sell the food, and it's really affordable. Remember, pretty much everything is made in China. No jokes. So you can find anything that you want to buy in China. So I'd say if you're planning a trip to China, make sure you don't fill up your luggage so that you have space for all the shopping that you will do, because trust me, you will go shopping, you will find really affordable things, and you're going to find gorgeous things that are affordable because everything is made there. There's not a lot of transportation costs built into the stuff that is made in China. So yeah, shopping is a treat. So you see, this is something I was completely unprepared for, like completely. The stairs. So I feel like because of how closed off China is, and you know, because you know, things that give us exposure, such as Netflix and movies and Google, don't actually exist in China. And because of that, Chinese people are very closed off. They grow up in an environment that is not as integrated as the rest of the world due to just how it is structured. And I guess I can understand. I guess I can understand how seeing a black person in your midst, just living her life, is quite surprising, if you will. And the for me was just how unwavering they are in their staring. You know, in the rest of the world, if somebody's staring at you and you know you catch their eye and you see that they see that you caught them staring, they tend to move their eyes, they avert their eyes. Not in China. The Chinese people just stare right back at you. That was the weirdest thing for me. I started playing a game of guess who's gonna look away, and yeah, they didn't. But it was quite funny for me, especially the old people. Old Chinese man would just like look at me dead set in the eye, and I'm like, do I say hi? Do I wave? What do I do? But you know what? It was uncomfortable, but also a part of me was like, I get it. It was a bit weird for me though, because if I'd gone with my hair like this, I would understand why they're staring. Not really, but I'd get it because it's something very different because everybody's Asian has straight hair. But if but the way I looked, my hair was straight, like I had straight hair. So I guess that wasn't why they were looking at me. I'm quite short, so I'm like average height in China. So that's not why they were looking at me. I'm quite a small woman, just generally. So I fit in like into the size of China. So that's not what they were looking at. So the only thing that they could have been looking at was the color of my skin. So yeah, so it's a bit of a challenge being black in China, especially on your own, going out and about, when you're the only black person walking around. Yes, but I guess the same is applicable if you are non-Asian, like, you're Caucasian, you of African descent, you are mixed race. I guess every person who is other than Asian will have this experience of them staring at you. I was just very unprepared for it. Though I guess that's on my part for not being prepared, for not asking more questions before I went. I guess I should have just done that research. But yeah, the stairs, man, I was totally, completely unprepared for that. So, like I said, I was very unprepared for the staring. I think I wish somebody had told me, hey, you're going to be stared at. Simply because I'd been to other Asian countries. I'd already been to Thailand, I'd been to Indonesia, I'd been to Malaysia at the time. By the time I went to China, so I'd been to other Asian countries, and I didn't expect that type of staring. But yeah, so another thing that was a bit of a culture shock for me, this is not necessarily about being a black person, but just a culture shock, was how much everybody smoked. It is insane how everybody, like, there was smoking everywhere. Coming from South Africa, not a lot people smoke, right? But like not in public spaces, not in random public spaces. And it just seemed a lot more socially acceptable to smoke over there, which was something I didn't expect at all. So yeah, that was a bit of a culture shock. So China's hot. Like when I went, it was in August, and it is a hot time of the year for them. I come from Africa. I'm used to heat. Hey, I come from Pretoria, which goes to about 35 odd degrees in the height of summer, right? But China is hot. It just felt so much hotter. I think it's just humid, and it was just the air that made it so much hotter, but it was extremely, extremely hot. But despite it being that hot, when you go to the store and you're trying to buy a bottle of soft drink, or you're buying water, you cannot find cold stuff. Literally the only thing that was cold I could find was ice lollies. I had to resort to buying ice lollies like every day. Literally the only thing that was cold. So the Chinese don't drink cold water or cold drinks. Even the beer is served warm. So when there are fridges in the stores, right? But when you open the fridge, it's not on. They just have it as a display cabinet. So that was a bit of a weird thing for me. I mean, the boba was nice, the tea was nice, the iced tea was nice. But it's just so weird to go into a store and not find a bottle of cold water on a really hot day. So yeah, that was a bit of a culture shock for me as well. And lastly, I felt like a unicorn. I felt like a unicorn in China. So that really left me with very mixed feelings. It didn't stop me from wanting to travel. Heck, I've traveled after China. I still went to Asia after, but went to Singapore after that. But yeah, China, whether I'll go back to China or not, I don't know. Maybe I will, because I haven't seen, the coastal cities. Um, maybe I'll go back. But am I in a hurry to go back? I don't think so. It's not really, my kind of experience. I'm not out to be in a place where I feel like a unicorn. Yeah, so there's culture shock, and then there's China. Yeah, so I think I'm really not in a hurry to go back. And if you're thinking of going to China, I say do it. You know, every experience is an experience. You can come back and decide, hey, she was talking nonsense. It's actually really nice. Or maybe I was conscious of things that I shouldn't be. But if you're really thinking of going to China, I say do it. Three main reasons. It's affordable. The food is amazing, and it's a very different experience. And so because of that, and there's a lot to do. So I think because of those three things, if you're really thinking of going to China, do it. You can, everybody has their own experiences, so I can't speak to every brown person, every black person's experience, and I can't speak to everyone's experience in China. But I say when you go there, the thing is, if you, whether you're black or white, and you're not of Asian descent, you are going to be a unicorn in China. Fact. So you must just be prepared for that. Unlike me, when I went in blindly, which is silly because I should have asked. But anyway, I went in blindly. I wasn't really prepared. So yeah, you need to be prepared for the stairs. You need to be prepared that you're gonna be a unicorn. It's gonna be a whole lot more culture shocks than other parts of the world. Yeah, so just be prepared for that. And for South Africans, you do need a visa for China. I can do a video about the Chinese visa process if anybody wants it. Let me know in the comments, and I'll do the video. And that's it. That was my experience in China. Let me know if you like it. If you like this type of video, if you like this video, like, subscribe so we grow the channel. Thank you for tuning in to Pretty on a Plane. Love it.